We're taking it back old school. We're talking 20, 25 years ago. And in case you don't know who Karrie Webb is, let me just remind you. 41-time winner on the LPGA Tour, 7 major championships, European Tour Rookie of the Year, LPGA Rookie of the Year, 3-time LPGA Tour Money winner, 2-time LPGA Player of the Year, and the recipient of 3 LPGA VAR trophies. She easily belongs on the top 4 Mount Rushmore LPGA Tour. If you agree with me, let me know. If you don't, let me know who you think is on that top 4. But we're gonna take a look at her easy peasy lemon squeezy golf swing to see if you can emulate some of this into your own motion. And yes, it is going to be about setup. I promise you, and this is the 1995 promise, no money back guarantee, that if you follow this setup advice, your ball striking will increase. Maybe not Karrie Webb style, but it will increase. And real quick, if you like this, hit that like, share, subscribe, and let's go. You know where I'm going with this right away. Let's draw Barney Purple right from the club head straight through the sky. Now, if you take a look at where this baby's connected, club head connects to your hands, connects to the center of your chest. Bingo! No forward press nonsense going on here. So for those who forward press, you are asking your body to manipulate itself to carry that angle down into impact. And if you want some proof, let's just watch this thing of beauty in action. What do you notice about her whole body? We don't see inefficient sliding going on. We don't see any of the special sauce coming into dinner. No, we just see rotation and staying pretty centered. Now that is the key. Now, granted, we need a little bit of rotation. So if you struggle with rotation, I can see why you would need to get some lateral slide going on, because that helps you transfer your weight. But then you have to expect your arms to get involved, and you know who is going to show up whether you like it or not. But let's just break this down a little bit further for all of you to at least understand why I'm so adamant about getting the average amateur to set more up like this. And if you do take a look at LPGA players, they typically set up like this. It's very rare to see some forward press going on there. And when they do forward press, you better hope that you can turn and tilt to carry that angle. Because if you forward press, let me just show you what happens when you forward press. So let's just imagine that Karrie Webb was forward pressing. Now what happens to your shaft angle? It's starting to point down. So somehow, you're going to have to carry that shaft angle to start pointing up at impact. So ideally, we're going to draw this in red. You're going to see that that shaft angle needs to be like this. So you've got this angle down here that you have to now figure out in 1 second to manipulate your hands. And usually it's you know who, or we fall back and we start to tilt, because that tilting gets your hands out in front and then it carries your shaft angle higher. So if you don't have that ability in you, please stop forward pressing. Set up correctly. Golf is about setup. If you set up correctly, based on your talent, based on your abilities, you will hit the ball a little bit better. But let's carry this down even further into our newly named Gumby Green. And let's draw where that shoulder tilt is. And what we are going to do is figure out where 90 degrees is from that golf ball directly to the shoulder tilt. And it's probably, let's see if I'm good enough for eyeballing it. Man, look at that! 90 degrees. So this is another positive that happens. So that ball position is perfect to the setup, because that ball position is staying centered to her. Now, if you forward press, sometimes we forward press and we tilt back to forward press, or sometimes we forward press and we don't adjust our tilting. All of a sudden, that ball is not connected to the center of you. So basically, you want to keep everything connected to the center of you, so then you don't have to do all this and throw your hands and you know who. Things become a little bit easier. So if you can rotate, that's great. So let's draw a rotation line in mellow yellow, and on the right side, we're going to get some plane lines here. We're going to keep Barney Purple in that lower plane line and upper plane line, and just for giggles, we're going to see where her back brace line is, and also that spine angle line. Do we have a name for blue? I don't think we do. Let me know what you think. I'm in favor of Cookie Monster Blue. I don't know why. He just brings joy to me when I think about him. So what we can notice as we take this club back, we do see a left shoulder raising up, which will get your hands to go above that lower plane line. But she does a great job of compensating to get that club to go on that lower plane line. If you don't know what I mean, we're going to use Trump Orange and see how that left shoulder has risen up. One of the main reasons to do this is to help you turn more, because when your left shoulder goes up, you remove all that stretching on your left lat, and all of a sudden you can turn more. So if you do suffer from turning, give that a try. Granted, you might not be able to stay in your posture and it could invite some other chaos, so just give it a try with caution, but keep your eye on where your shoulder tilt is halfway through, and you'll see any compensation you need to make. So she made a great compensation here. We can see on the left side of the screen on our mellow yellow line that she is not swaying over, so that's all due to that beautiful setup. Now, once we get to that top position, look at what happens. That left arm is right on her upper plane line, which just happens. Doesn't necessarily mean it's good or bad, but if it can get there, makes your life a little bit easier. I've seen great players get above that, below that, doesn't really matter, but for her, it just happened to get there, so that's great. When we get all the way to the top of the swing, we can see her shaft angle and her rotation. There's no T, so that's great. That means her arms are relatively connected to her chest, which is key. Now, let's take a look at how deep that club got, and let's draw a mellow yellow and see how deep that club got. Now, let's just take a look at her starting position. Now, you take a look at her setup, and that right yellow line is going to show you if this is a heel base or toe base. It's slightly heeled, but it's not too bad. Just wanted to check that out because we missed that. And so far, it's looking pretty good. And we do the patented, you know who, the triangle check in Ivan Red, and we take a look at what's going to happen with these hands. Now, naturally, they are going to want to go right down the middle. Let's see if that does occur. Now, if it goes to the right of your triangle, that means you have too much rotation immediately. If it goes to the left, that means your arms are dropping back down in the slots. So you can see she goes slightly left, and that's fine. But majority of the time, it's going right down, so she is looking good. The shoulder tilt is favoring a left high. Now, this could also help her drop in the slots. So maybe as she took that club back, her left shoulder raised up to allow her right shoulder to drop down quicker. So this is a great compensatory motion. We see as we get down closer to impact, what happens though? We can see a little bit of spine loss, and this is a unique move from this position. We're going to draw where her spine angle is. She's perfectly in her spine angle, but let's see what happens as we start moving down into it. We can see that she is starting to stand up. So heaven forbid we're starting to stand up, but there's a couple things that do occur when you stand up. We can see that her club head is now closer to that lower plane line. So for her, if she were to maintain her posture here on the right side of the screen and keep her spine angle down here, that club would be a little bit too steep at this point. So she has figured out, instead of rerouting those hands, what she needs to do is start to stand up. When you move on up, what happens to your plane? It starts to drop down, and that club head will find that little lower plane line, which it does there, and then she drives on into it. Now you take a look at that motion. We definitely see a little bit of difference with the footwork. They're moving more into the golf ball, which then makes her stand up more, but that is actually a good thing for her because it helps her drop it in the slot. Now on the left side of the screen, what do we notice right at impact? Take a look what happened. If we draw where the club head is with the hands and we take a look, that is a natural forward press. So she's still able to carry her starting position down into impact, and the only reason why her right shoulder is further down and she is leaning back is because that lower body drove into the target while her upper body stayed back. So everything meets each other yet again. So that starting position just promotes this. And when you do that, you can get away more with losing your spine angle on the right side. You can just get away with more things than you can with the forward press. Forward press, you have to be very solid. You have to maintain your posture. You actually have to bend more down at impact and rotate and tilt more to carry that angle that you've preset. And if you don't have that ability, but let's clear these lines up and take a look at that release, because she has a very quick right-handed release, and part of that is because when she starts to stand up, not only is that club head finding that lower plane, but it starts to open up as a result. So right at impact, she has to get her hands a little bit more involved than what you see modern tour players do, and we see that right hand really kick over just past impact. But you know what? Tour players are the best compensatory people. Does that make sense? They make the best compensations. So I hope that helps you just get a little bit more in-depth understanding at how setup and how proper setup can really help you get away with more. But not only that, it requires less manipulation with your body. And for us couch potatoes that like to watch TV and watch YouTube videos and think there's got to be some shortcut, there is no shortcut to golf. The only way to get better is to be naturally gifted like a John Daly of the world, and they come once every 2 or 3 generations. The rest of the time, it takes millions of golf balls, thousands of hours, and I know you haven't done that, so don't expect to hit it like them. Go get a lesson from your coach next to you. They need to be supported. They have families and mouths to feed. But I hope that helps you. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Does this make sense? Is this just me repeating myself? Yeah, I hear that a lot. Fairways and greens.